I don't understand why there's a certain fan or certain folks who feel like they want to run Amari Cooper out of town. I don't get this idea. Well, folks say, Kevin, well, it's essentially a 2-year, $40 million deal straight up. The Cowboys have an out, after this year with respect to the deal, and maybe they make a decision on whether or not if CeeDee Lamb emerges as the new number one wide receiver, could you eventually move on from Amari Cooper and keep, a combination of Lamb and Michael Gallup on your football team? And I just don't understand the level of disrespect when it comes to Amari Cooper. Zero, you could have thrown, I could have thrown, Walchuk, we could have thrown the football to Amari Cooper last year and him get the kind of production that he had. Like he had over 1,100 yards receiving, 92 catches, with dudes like Ben DiNucci and Andy Dalton throwing him the football.
Preach.
Like he was still productive and did so, and he never complains. Yes, he deals with injuries at times, but he never complains about the injuries. He's the antithesis of a diva wide receiver. Like he's not your diva complaining, all that. I just don't understand why there's so much Amari Cooper slander. He's one of the best route runners in the NFL.
100%.
Like all he does is produce, man. Like stop trying to run Amari Cooper out of town.
I couldn't agree more. And we've done a segment, we did this, what was it, a couple months ago now, where, I said we did a segment on who's the most underappreciated.
See, here y'all go from the 469. I'd rather have Gallup over Cooper. What are we doing?
I just don't get that. Like Amari Cooper's 26 years old. He's making $20 million. How much do you think if Michael Gallup, which I think he's going to, I think Michael Gallup's about to have a great year.
I do too.
Him and Dak Prescott have an uncanny rapport with one another, and Gallup's looking really good in camp. I mean, he looked really good in that scrimmage against the Rams. Somebody's going to pay Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup's a better receiver than Corey Davis, who just got big-time money from the Jets this offseason. Somebody's going to pay Michael Gallup more money than the Cowboys are going to be able to pay him. And the reason being is, to me, this conversation all circled around CeeDee Lamb. This wasn't about, when I asked that question, it wasn't about whether or not you're keeping Amari Cooper or not. For me, it's a no-brainer. You're keeping Amari Cooper. I don't know why you wouldn't want to keep Amari Cooper. He shows up week in, week out. He plays hurt.
He dispelled the whole, don't show up in road games type thing. Like he's dispelled all the things that you would have complaints about.
100%.
Amari Cooper, in my mind anyway.
To me, it was just, is CeeDee Lamb going to become better? Which is, it's not a slight on Amari. It's just CeeDee Lamb can be that good. Is CeeDee Lamb that special of a player potentially? CeeDee Lamb, outside of the Dak injury and what Maurice Kennedy's doing and just shocking everybody at corner, and Micah Parsons, okay? And then the Zeke, him dropping pounds and looking potentially of the Zeke of old, the question marks there. But CeeDee Lamb is the highlight of training camp.
Yeah, he's tearing it up in camp.
Every day.
Yeah.
There is a highlight play of CeeDee Lamb. So to me, the question was, does eventually at some point this year, despite how good Amari Cooper is, does CeeDee Lamb, just because of how good he is, bypass Amari Cooper as this team's wide receiver one? It wasn't even about, do you keep Amari Cooper or not? I think it's a no-brainer you keep Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
And Michael Gallup will sign elsewhere via free agency. Some team's going to pay him. Unless Michael Gallup wants to be here in Dallas, which he said that he does. And the Cowboys this weekend said they're not going to do any contract extensions prior to the season with Gregory or
Gallup.
With Gallup, which is a bit of a bummer. I think maybe they should have gotten ahead of things with Randy Gregory, but I understand it. I get it. Cowboys don't want to do that. Maybe they should go ahead and let Randy Gregory prove it, because he does need to prove it.
Sure. I would agree with that. For Gallup, look, if he wants to stay as a Dallas Cowboy, he would probably have to take some type of hometown discount in order to stay around, because if he does go out and have the kind of massive year that he's potentially going to have.
What are they paying you? I'll double it.
That's what a team is going to do. They're going to look at Michael Gallup as a potential number one wide receiver on their team and try to money whip him. Again, I don't know necessarily if Michael Gallup is the guy that has the makeup of just go run and chase after the money, but this is a business, and you have an opportunity to make as much money as you can.
Michael Gallup for cashing in.
I would not fault Michael Gallup if he left to go somewhere else.
No question.
And go get paid somewhere.
And for the Cowboys, it's probably not a good business decision to invest that kind of money in a salary cap league into 3 wide receivers, where it's kind of the golden age of receiver, where we're finding guys in rounds 2 through 4 now, maybe even later on in the draft, that can come in and be very, very productive in the NFL. I mean, hell, Michael Gallup was a 3rd-round pick, for instance, right? You can probably find another guy to come in and be good. I mean, Cedric Wilson, for instance, was a 6th-round pick. And Cedric Wilson flashed last year. I think we would all feel pretty good about this football team if Cedric Wilson was your number 3 wide receiver. We're pretty spoiled with the trio that we have right now. And I'm excited to see what the 3 of them can do. But, yeah, the conversation for me wasn't, oh, my gosh, let Amari go.
I'm glad it wasn't, because my goodness.
Does CeeDee Lamb just end up being so damn good that he ends up being the best wide receiver on this football team by the end of the year?
I mean, you put 88 on him for a reason. So you may think that at some point he will become the number 1. But the best duo that you could run out of those 3, it's Cooper and it's Lamb as your best duo of those 3 if you're having any kind of combination.
I agree.